Well, Roger, welcome to the programme. Nice to have you with us.
Oh, delighted to be here.
Now, this report commissioned by the current Commissioner for Children says that 230,000 children, roughly 1 in 5, are living in poverty in New Zealand. Now, you're a former Children's Commissioner. You're heavily involved still with children's advocacy. I mean, you've got your World Vision shirt on, and I know that you're involved with Variety and for the sake of the children. Presumably, this is a call to action for us, isn't it?
Well, of course, there should always be a call to action to do things that are better for our children. They deserve that, right? But of course, I do a lot of work at the moment for World Vision, and so I often think in New Zealand when we talk about poverty, we need to explain to people what we mean by that. I don't think we mean the poverty that I've seen in Malawi or in India. We mean another kind of poverty that is a New Zealand brand of poverty, to which we need to be devoting some resources. The problem I have is that there may be people out there who think that this report means there are nearly 250,000 children who are going to go to bed tonight with no food. There are in India and there are in Africa. I'm not sure it's correct here, and if it is correct, I'm not sure it's the state's fault. I think it's the fault of the parent or the adult who has the legal responsibility for that child. And that's the area we need to do some work. I don't think it's as simple as finding more money to give to large groups of families.
Because this is what, I mean, the report's saying that we should give extra support for benefit-dependent low-income families, reform the benefit system, expand health, housing, education services, throwing money at it.
Well, I'm really quite disappointed that it's taken the current Commissioner for Children something like 4 or 5 years to decide that that's how we're going to fix our problems. It is much more complicated than that. If it was just a matter of more money, any government would have fixed poverty in New Zealand long ago. I mean, if it just was a matter of more prisons, we could stop crime. It isn't that simple. Judge Beecroft can tell you about the components of the difficulties for children in New Zealand growing up, the ones that he sees in his court. He can tell you the profile of them. They will be usually mainly young men, young boys, mostly, but girls as well. He can even tell you which races they will predominantly come from, and that will tell you which group in society in terms of income and so on there is. But he'll also tell you about the incidence of drugs, about violence in the home of that child, about parents not taking their responsibility, or the adults, whoever's there. So it's not just money. If it was just money that might fix it, fine, but it isn't that easy.
So what is it? What do we?
Well, I think it's a range of things. I think that a lot of parents are not coping. They don't know about parenting because they didn't get a good example from their own parents. I was fortunate to get a great example from my own parents, and so you kind of model your parenting on what you had. I think we need to be requiring young parents, teenage parents, to be fronting up to learn about the sanctity of children, about their responsibilities to do with 3 meals a day, being there for them, letting them know that you can be relied upon to be there and steadfast, to stick up for them, to be there when there's trouble, to be at the school for the parent interviews. All those things, and some young parents perhaps don't know that. Those are all issues that we need to face. If money can fix those, fine, but I don't think even Judge Beecroft would say throw money wildly all over the place. There may be some families who do need some more resources. We'll find out who they are, but don't blanket blame the cuts of the early 90s like Dr. Kiro still is. Get over it and get on with it is what I say. Governments cannot fix everything. The Prime Minister cannot tuck your children in bed at night and read them a story. The Prime Minister can do a lot, but I think the welfare of our children and the parenting of this nation is still up to the parents.
So it's education. We need to have parenting classes.
Yeah, I think that if you don't know, I mean, it's very easy to become a mum and dad, the physical side of becoming a mum and dad, but it's not so easy to be a parent. And that's where we should be giving people more help. And probably it's mothers we should be getting to, because they are generally the ones who have the most hands-on kind of involvement day to day, hour to hour with the children. They are the ones who are going to be getting up at night when they're sick. They are the ones who should know when it's time to take them to the doctor. We cannot go on crossing out a generation of children simply because we are ignorant of what those children have a right to.
You're heavily involved with children's charities. I know you're involved with Variety, For the Sake of the Children, World Vision.
Heart Children New Zealand.
Heart Children New Zealand. With your experience as a former Commissioner for Children, are we getting it so badly wrong when you see what other countries are doing? Is it worse here than other places?
Well, I think at the worst end of the scale, yes, we are. We still have a little defenceless child perish in New Zealand every 5 or 6 weeks. Sometimes if it's twins, the average goes up. And you know what I'm referring to there. But overall, we're very, very good. The vast majority of our children and our parents and families are doing a fantastic job. They've got a pretty good go at the health system, a pretty good go at education. They've got their Saturday morning sport when it stops raining. And their parents are doing a pretty good job. It's not rocket science, but it is something that takes a bit of application. But at the very worst end of the scale, the area where for some there's not enough resources, for those we see the worst end of it, and we are pretty bad in the scale of things, and we could do better. There is a government, no matter who they are, who will ensure that there are resources when they are proven to be needed, and I think adults need to sort of snap out of it and get on with doing what they are required to do legally.
I know one of the charities you're involved with, mentioned it briefly a moment ago, was Heart Children.
Oh, yeah. It's a fantastic charity. I mean, Heart Children New Zealand, there are more little children who die because of their heart problems than in any other cause in New Zealand, even more than child cancer, interestingly enough. And Heart Children New Zealand seeks to be there for those parents. We're not worse than anywhere else in the world as we are with some other statistics, but we've got 12 a week, little babies who will be born with a heart problem ranging from a tiny pinhole to a major heart issue needing an operation. But we've also got a brilliant surgeon here in New Zealand, in Auckland, Dr. Kirsten Finucane, just a brilliant lady who operates on these little hearts the size of a walnut. And we've got young men and women walking around now who we never used to have because they always used to die. There's 12 a week, 600 a year. We will lose about 30 to 40 of those children either in a young age or later on, and it is a cause that people should get behind. You may remember Heart Children's Week recently with the little baby lying there with the zip in its chest because he's had the operation, and we're asking people to open their wallets, not their hearts, and their hearts and their wallets, so that we can do something to support these families, because you could have a baby like that whether you're wealthy or not wealthy. So there's a lot of good causes for our children. We're doing a pretty good job, Allan, I've got to say. New Zealand's a great place to bring up children. It's just that a few adults should do better than they are, and it ain't a matter of throwing more money at everything. If it was, we could fix it tomorrow.
Great. Well, just thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.